Thank you very much.
Todd Muller.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to take a short call here on the Outer Space and High Altitude Activities Bill this afternoon. Gosh, success has 100 fathers and failure is an orphan, I think is a pretty fair assessment of the various speakers today. But I do want to comment on David Clark's phenomenal contribution, Mr Speaker. He spent quite a bit of time, actually, of his speech, probably about half of it, seeking to create the impression that our Minister Stephen Joyce is somehow New Zealand's own rocket man, including reading quite an extraordinary lengthy tone from Elton John's famous song. Well, if David Clark wants to be that autobiographical with respect to these sorts of things, I suggest he might spend a little bit of time looking at Space Oddity, because I think it does apply to him, Mr Speaker, particularly the section which it says, I'm floating in a most peculiar way, the stars look very different today, from here I am sitting in a tin can far above the Earth, planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do. Well, I think David Bowie perhaps stretched it slightly. I think certainly in our case, New Zealand is blue and there's nothing he can do, but I suggest he might just have a look at that. It has some degree of application in his case. But seriously, Mr Speaker, this is a very good bill, and I'd just like to quickly add my comments to those who have spoken. And I'd just really like to emphasise David Bennett's comments earlier. It is quite remarkable in many respects that we're having this conversation that New Zealand has reached the stage through the efforts of Peter Beck and his team and supported by this government, and no doubt began on the previous government, that we have a scenario where we have to have legislation enabled to help facilitate New Zealand's contribution to the space industry. Had we talked about that a few years ago, it would be seen as a pipe dream, and now here we are debating a framework to enable it to happen, and not on a faint hope that it might happen one day, but because the demand is there, the skilled people are already in place, and as we've heard, the launch sites being readied. This is a phenomenal opportunity for New Zealand, Mr Speaker, and I thoroughly support it and look forward to the deliberations that the Select Committee will bring to it over the next few weeks. And I commend the bill to the House.